You're good.
All right, new rules, guys. We're going to lay down some rules here. From now on, we have to shower like at least once a week. You, Turtle Boy, have to stop wearing the same shirt every time you're on here. I want you to do a little bit of interior design there in your home office. And you too, Cullinane, you have to pay attention. And you have to look good because yesterday we set like all-time records.
Yeah.
I think it must have been you calling in, Turtle Boy. I'll give you credit. You called in. Michael Graham called in. Shattuck was the man in the second seat. And we eclipsed 50,000 views on Facebook. Now, we don't exactly monetize that. Well, although I got my Shea hat on.
It actually probably hurts us, but that's okay.
It probably hurts us that we don't. There's 50,000 people watching. A lot of them maybe would be listening to the podcast and listening to our fine commercials, including Dave's.
You're right there, bud.
What the hell is that?
What do you hear?
A Biden moment?
What
What the hell? You know what? That's Alexa. I somehow said something to get Alexa talking about a
what the hell is
what Alexa just said? She said that podcast you requested has controversial content.
No, it did not.
Yes, that's what she just said. I don't know how to trigger her again. She's upstairs. I just said, I didn't even say the Callahan podcast.
I haven't watched. I know a lot of people are talking about that new Netflix documentary. I'm going to watch that this weekend. The Social Experiment?
Social Experiment, I believe, yes.
I haven't watched that, but one time I tried to set up, actually for this podcast, I tried to set up like an Alexa skill where you say, hey, Alexa, play the Jerry Callahan podcast. And when you go in the back end of Alexa, it has a transcript of every fucking thing you have ever said with Alexa. Like it
is frightening.
Form.
It is frightening.
Yeah.
When you think of like, if you asked her to look for something and then, a month later, she finds it. I mean, maybe that's what just happened here. I don't know. Alexa gives me, I can't say that. She's going to start yelling at me again. Gives me the creeps a little bit, when you think of it's just like when, I would go on, the New Balance site looking for running shoes. And for the next month, it's just popping up over and over again. No, check out these running shoes. I'm like, leave me alone. You're creeping me out. That stuff is uncomfortable. That big brother stuff.
I want to take credit. I'll take credit for it. So it was 25,000 views on Facebook. And then I asked that stupid Chris Wallace poll question, which was just deliberately designed to get people to just comment one quick thing. And Facebook then just pushed it to more people. So 50% of that is completely on me. I got the 50,000.
All right. Well, then we need to come up with another Facebook question today. I think we should. How about this? Do you disavow the Proud Boys? This is very important.
Yes,
this is a major issue in society today. No one's ever met a Proud Boy. No one's ever seen a Proud Boy. There's never been a Proud Boy riot or Proud Boy looting. Every night we see Antifa and Black Lives Matter burning the country down, but this is somehow the fault of the right wing and the white supremacists. Is this not? And I know I do this like once every 2 weeks. I say it's the worst example of media bias I've ever seen. I think they've taken it to the next level. Obviously, there's an election in a little over a month, and they are completely invested in one candidate over the other. But I think what we're seeing here, and you're a good student of this, Turtle Boy, as am I, of this incredible, I would even call it systemic media bias. It's built in the system. And it crosses over from the media into politics, where they're almost colluding. I mean, I do believe call me a conspiracy nut. I do believe Chris Wallace colluded with the Biden campaign. I do believe he got emails. They talked. He said, "Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring up Charlottesville. I'm going to bring up the Proud." Biden brought up the Proud Boys, but I'm going to force him to denounce the right-wing violence, even though they know it's not a factor, even though the right-wing violence is virtually non-existent. They know the problem is Antifa and Black Lives Matter, but that's Biden's base. But I will tell you, there's different kinds of media bias. We know, media bias by omission, where they'll leave things out, whatever the good news is for Trump, to leave out, the economy bouncing back. They will obviously they will lie about coronavirus deaths and say they're guys who are 100 years old and died with 6 different comorbidities were killed by Trump. They'll allow that. But what we're seeing now is a whole different level of media bias, where they literally concoct a strategy. A strategy. Here's how it's going to go. We're going to bring up, will you accept the results of the election? And even though there'll be massive fraud and these mail-in ballots, will you accept it? And if Trump hesitates at all, page 1 the next day is Trump will not accept Trump will never leave office. They know that's not true. They know he'll leave office, but they coordinate it and they make it seem like this huge story, like Trump is not going to leave office, even if he loses the election. They know that's fake news. They know that's exaggerated. They know that's made up, but they go with it anyway because it's designed to hurt Trump, help Biden. I mean, that's the front page of the New York Times today, or yesterday, whatever. That he will not accept the results of the election.
You surprised? I mean,
yes, I'm at the level ESF. I mean, we've never seen it this bad. I shouldn't be. You're right. I am surprised that Chris Wallace, I thought, would have some. Professional dignity.
Imagine the last 3 months you've been watching TV and everything that's been going on in the news and stuff like that, and you're watching American cities burn and the Antifa riot and all this stuff. And imagine just saying to yourself, the problem here is the Proud Boys, is white.
See, I think that, and that to me is almost taking it too far, because everybody knows it's not the problem. And it's a great example. If you hear someone today or yesterday, last night, on CNN, if you hear one of these clowns, Jake Tappers, or if you read it in the Boston Globe, it's that person is part of this campaign. There's part of this effort to coordinate the Biden campaign with the media to force to contrive to fabricate this issue, which is, in this case, the Proud Boys, or right-wing supremacy or white supremacy. They know that's not the story. They know that's not an issue. Just like the ballot fraud. They know that is a story, but they will pretend it's not. They'll pretend mail-in voting is the same as absentee balloting, and they'll pretend that Trump's a dictator, a fascist, who's not going to leave office. And formerly respected news outlets, obviously, that wouldn't include the New York Times, but formerly a network news program or the Washington Post would pretend that it's a real story. They will go along with it because they are so invested in one candidate over the other. I mean, I'm sure it's not being taught in schools, colleges, because they're part of the effort. But your question's a good one. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am, because I don't think we've ever seen this level of just corruption in the mainstream media.
Well, I was, if I was a reporter, I mean, I would ask a question. You want to talk about election integrity. And I thought about this the other night. There's going to be, I'll bet you anything, there will be at least one state on election night, Jerry, that Trump wins. 10 days later, mail-in votes start coming in.
Right.
It's going to flip. And then what? That's what a reporter should ask. How will you feel if on election night you win Michigan or Pennsylvania, and then 10 days later, a flood of mail-in votes, because they get to count them for like 10 days. We don't know. We won't know who will win the election for a couple of weeks. How is that acceptable? How does that restore?
See, and that's what makes it systemic. That's what makes it part of the system, because you'll have a judge who's a Biden supporter who'll be just waiting for them to bring the case to him or her, and he will rule in Biden's favor. Then you will have Gore versus Bush all over again, but to a much larger extent. You'll have people with the hanging chads every day, and the goal will be simple. It'll be find enough votes to flip the result. That's it. I mean, it'll be find enough votes, and it'll be close. Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. If Trump wins, it'll be close. So it will be possible. This will not be California. It will not be lopsided. It will not be Mississippi. It'll be close. And the goal of the work, the people in that state who are all Biden supporters will be find enough votes and flip the result. And it'll be easier than ever because of the mail-in balloting. Say, oh, look, we found a whole bag of votes. Let's see who they voted for. You're right. It's going to go. I mean, could it be 10 days? 10 days of that?
Is it that hard to just say if you're mailing it in, it has to be in by this date or else?
Well, no, because the whole goal, and here's the other thing, is with this election fraud or election integrity, whatever it's much like the domestic violence. I mean, the domestic terrorism we're seeing from Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and with the coronavirus, everything. They all have all these stories, all these efforts, these subplots have one goal, and it's to sow chaos and create this perception that Trump has lost control of the country. That's what it's all about. And I think 2 nights ago, what we saw was a just further effort to do that. That was the goal of Wallace and Biden, Team Biden with Chris Wallace, captain of Team Biden. Look at the coverage today or yesterday, last night. It's all about Trump, how Trump ruined the debate, and Trump created this chaos and this embarrassment. I mean, you got Biden saying it was a national embarrassment what Trump did. Quick rundown, Aiden. Quick rundown.
The interruptions were a bit much, Jerry.
They were, but they are both guilty. I mean, we know that one guy called the other guy a clown. He called him a liar. He called him a fool. He told him to shut up. He told him to stop yapping. One guy did that, not the other. And if you were to ask the average person to say, who did that? They say, oh, Trump did that. No.
He told him to shut up?
Yeah, he told him to shut up when he said, you have lost the left. I've seen the clip 10 times.
He told him to shut up when he was talking about the Supreme Court. Like when Trump was pressing Joe to answer the question about this. Because talk about a question that matters. A question that does not matter is, do you disavow white supremacy? That is a meaningless virtue signaling question that he's answered a billion times before. A question that actually matters, that the moderator should want to know the answer to, is, Biden, there's like a decent chance you'll be president of the United States. Are you going to add Supreme Court justices? And his answer was literally, I'm not, it's top secret. I'm not telling you.
It's more bizarre. And I hope Dave can find this and we can put this in, because it's a question. Obviously, Wallace asked it once and then kind of let it go because his guy had a bizarre answer. He looks into the camera and starts saying, well, it's not about that. It's about you. And you have to get out and vote. It's like a clarion call for people to get out and vote. That was his answer to, are you going to pack the court? And Wallace didn't press him for an answer because, again, Wallace was on Team Biden. We know that now. Trump did, and he didn't do it rudely. He said, are you going to pack the court? And then when he says something, some convoluted answer, he says, you just lost the left. You just lost the left. That's what Trump said. And Biden said, shut up, man. Just shut up, man.
Ending the filibuster or packing the court.
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now. Are you going to pack the court? Make sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why would you answer that question?
The question is, the question is,
Justice, radical left.
Will you shut up, man?
Who is?
Now, Trump is doing Wallace's job because Wallace didn't want to do it. You are so right, and that is, if there's one takeaway from this debate, this historic mess of a debate, it's that the Proud Boys don't matter. Packing the court does. And only one guy was forced to answer the question. Trump was forced to answer a question, forced to do something he's done 1,000 times. But again, this is part of the setup. This is part of this wide-ranging plot. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist. I don't care. I don't have a lot of, I hate conspiracy theorists. I hate the whole, we didn't land on the moon crap or any of that stuff. It's all just,
there's degrees of conspiracy.
Okay. This is one conspiracy I believe in. The goal is, when you're going in there, to make it seem like Trump won't accept the results of the election. And they did that because he tells the truth. He says, there's a lot of fraud. We'll have to wait and see. Boom. Oh, hear that? He won't accept the results either. He's a fascist. He's a dictator. And then their friends in the media take the ball from there. But there's also this. Let's wrap, Charlottesville around his neck again. Let's force him to disavow white supremacists again. But if he does it inarticulately, which he did, Aiden, I'm not defending that. His answer was clumsy and awkward and inarticulate. but he did disavow white supremacists again.
Yeah.
Nobody believes that he supports white supremacists. Nobody believes that.
Nobody does.
But you create this doubt and you give them this opening and they say, he didn't disavow. Well, yeah, actually he did. No, he didn't. He said, stand up or stand. He says, stand
down and stand by. It was the
Stand
stand
by.
by that got him. But
Stand
I'd
by.
like to point out the
Stand
first thing
back.
he said,
Stand back.
stand back and stand by.
even better. The
Which
first
is
thing
what
he
he-
said was, sure. That was literally his answer.
Sure, yes, which means
and
yes.
It was the perfect answer in my opinion, because it's like, you're almost humoring, like, yeah, sure, of course, obviously, like, what did they want? A really solemn answer? Like, no, oh, dude, I hate white supremacy. Like, you think you hate white supremacy? I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. Like, that's what they want. They want you to dance their stupid dance for them and go through their motions and make them the freaking puppet master. Like, it's insulting that Trump has even asked that question and Biden is not, considering Biden's the one on record saying that if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. That doesn't come up for some reason. And Trump doesn't bring it up, of course. But I mean, to me, that seems like a much more racist thing than anything Trump's ever said.
And it's simple. There's one group that's terrorizing the country. That would be Antifa and Black Lives Matter. That's ruining lives. That's burning businesses. Again, Minneapolis, Kenosha are in ashes because of one group. And these two candidates were forced. Well, one was forced to disavow an extremist group. Not even extremist. One was forced to disavow this boogeyman, this non-existent movement of white supremacists that are terrorizing. They're not. And he did. Again, he did it again. The other guy who wants that chaos, who has an interest, shall we say, in what Antifa and Black Lives Matter are doing, sowing chaos. So the real question should be, or the real demand should be to the other guy, to Biden. Can you right now disavow everything Antifa and Black Lives Matter are doing to our cities? Will you do that? And he wasn't forced to do it. He wasn't forced to do it.
How about Chris Wallace asks him, Joe Biden, your vice president, your running mate, in the wake of the Minneapolis riots, shared a link to a bail fund, and it's still up. Why hasn't she taken that down, knowing now that the bail fund, like in Massachusetts, has been used to, get rapists out of jail, and people have been hurt by this? How come they didn't ask that?
Great point. Not just
I make a lot of great points.
Not just Kamala Harris, by the way, who supports the rioters who are ruining lives and tearing apart cities. That is a major problem. In fact, that might have been, and I think you've said it, might be the number one issue going into this debate. The number one issue should be, what are we doing about this extremist left-wing movement that are tearing our cities apart? 13 members of Biden's campaign team, 13 have donated to that same fund. So his people are bailing people out who are burning police precincts to the ground, burning AutoZone, ruining, small businesses in inner cities. His people are bailing them out. And Chris Wallace thinks, you know what? I got these guys, I got them. I got a limited number of time. I'll ask about right-wing extremists.
And will you disavow it? Like, talk about a meaningless thing. Is there anything more meaningless?
And Trump should stick two middle fingers up and say, disavow this, you stooge, you Biden stooge. And I was going to save this, but I'm very disappointed in Fox News. Let's just say, I watch a lot of Fox News, as do you. And not one person, not even Tucker. Not even Tucker. I'm very disappointed in Tucker. My money was on Tucker.
I was hoping that
somebody
would Chris Wallace.
And they don't have to do, they don't have to go to the extent that I have and ripping Chris Wallace. But are you telling me you can't express disappointment in your colleague's performance? You can't do that if you're Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson or Greg Gutfeld. You can't say, let's just say Chris Wallace was not great. How about that? Not great. Chris Wallace this guy makes me, I'm glad I don't see him in person, because I feel like I would just want to smack him. I mean, he makes me sick. Literally,
I'd love to see you smack Chris Wallace.
I would like. I know he's an old man. I don't care. I'd like to just kick him in the nut. He did an interview with the New York Times. I don't know if you've seen this. The New York Times. So the Fox News guy finishes this disgraceful performance and does an interview with the New York Times and says how disappointed he is with the president, or in the whole debate, but he singles out the president and all the interruptions. If you want to talk about interruptions, let's just go over this quickly. Chris Wallace interrupted Trump 76 times. Do you know how many times he interrupted Biden?
And probably not many.
15. He interrupted one guy 76 times, the other guy 15. Now, I realize that Trump is, he's a loose cannon. You're right. He interrupted too often. He interrupts. I mean, my problem was he doesn't let Biden just embarrass himself. The way to let Biden embarrass himself is let him talk. He's not all there. He is, he's a train wreck when he's put on the spot. And at times Trump got in the way and didn't allow him to hang himself. That was disappointing. But by any measure, Chris Wallace was rooting for one guy over the other. And then he sits down with the New York Times and says how disappointed he is. I'm disappointed. Everybody at Fox News, I'm disappointed in you. Just, I know they're probably part of our big Facebook audience right now. Tucker's probably watching right now. I'm disappointed in you, Tucker. I'm disappointed in you, Gutfeld and Jesse Waters. Chris Wallace sucked. Chris Wallace carried water for Biden, and you didn't have the guts to call him out.
We're OAN. Is it OANN? We're OANN guys now. Is that where we are?
I guess that's all we got.
I got to get a T-shirt so I can trigger.
Actually, no, we're Newsmax guys. Jerry's on Newsmax.
Yeah, we're Newsmax.
We're Newsmax people. That's right. I forgot.
I guarantee you, people on Newsmax called him out. Was that Greg Kelly? Sean Spicer's on Newsmax. They definitely called him out. I mean, I pointed this out. There was not a bad tweet, if I must say so myself. I'm watching Fox News last night, waiting for someone to call out Chris Wallace. And somebody finally did? Do you know who it was?
Who?
President Trump. They cut to his speech, his rally in Duluth, and he starts ripping Chris Wallace. And there was nothing, the Fox News suits or Paul Ryan or whoever is over there trying to soften Fox News. Nobody could do anything about it. Trump was ripping Chris Wallace to this big rally in Duluth. It was great. It was finally someone on that channel, on that network, ripped that Biden stooge.
You think somebody must have said something to Tucker? Like you can't rip your colleagues.
No question.
He's not afraid to rip anybody. Something happened there.
It's sad, isn't it?
Because how can that was the general conservative talking point yesterday after the debate was like, Chris Wallace is a freaking disgrace, an absolute joke the way that was handled. But again, why not? Why doesn't Trump just let Joe Biden hang himself? Like, your strength is Joe Biden talking for long periods of time. You have no better weapon than that. Just let him talk.
It's a good question. I think that'll happen. But here's where the I don't know what you want to call it, the campaign, and you can call it a conspiracy, but here's where this plot never ends, is what happens after the debate. Everyone blames Trump, even though Biden's the one that said, shut up, called him a fool, called him a liar, called him a clown. Everybody says it was all Trump's fault. So what's the solution? Give the moderator, this guy, Steve Scully from C-SPAN, give him a dump button. So he's going to be like Joe Zarbano. He's going to have a dump button in the next debate. Now, who do you think Steve Scully, I wrote this down. Steve Scully worked for, check this out, Aiden. You know what? Here's why our audience is growing on Facebook, because we're going to tell you things that you won't hear anywhere else. All right. Maybe it will on Newsmax. Maybe Cullinane's right. Maybe OAN, whatever it's called. And the hot chicks at OAN will tell you this. But Steve Scully, the next debate moderator in the town hall in 2 weeks, works for C-SPAN. You know who he used to work for?
Who?
Joe Biden. I'm not kidding. This is a good slow day blog for Turtle Boy, for the TB Daily News, because I'm not sure. Maybe Howie Carroll picked this up. Hopefully Howie will. He interned for Joe Biden. You know who else he worked for?
Who?
Ted Kennedy.
Hillary. Okay.
You thought Chris Wallace was a Biden stooge. You haven't seen anything yet. Why don't they just let Joy Behar moderate it so we can be done with the pretense? Why don't they just let Chelsea Handler or Rob Reiner do that? Why don't they have a 3-man moderator? Chelsea Handler, Rob Reiner, Hunter Biden. What do you think?
That'd be great. And my question is like that. So that guy, Daniel Dale, he's a big sensation of lefty.
Yeah.
Actually, Trump said this when he actually said this, and because he talks fast and he fact checks the president. Do they ever fact check Biden? Because he had some whoppers the other night, man.
No, they do not. And Dan Bongino just posted a list of the best Biden lies, and I did my own yesterday. We did it. It was incredible, and they're big ones too. Like, I don't believe in the Green New Deal. It's on his website. Yeah. It says Joe Biden supports the Green New Deal.
he kept pushing all the hoaxes that have been debunked, like the Charlottesville hoax that has been debunked 1 billion times right now. The Very Fine People one, there's a few ones in there, I wrote a couple of them down. I reference my Twitter, Jerry, but I'm banned.
You're banned from again. Part of the whole plot. Stop people like Turtle Boy.
Yeah. I don't like what is their problem with me? I mean, I understand it's growing. Turtle Boys, it is what it is. But why do they want to like? Are you that you're that afraid of me? Well, what are they doing?
You know what? They probably think you're a Proud Boy. So the Proud Boys, they're probably banned from Twitter, right? Banned from Facebook, banned from PayPal, banned from everything. And Antifa literally organizes their riots on Twitter and Facebook. Says, here, we'll meet here, bring rocks, bring bricks. They do that. But Proud Boys, whoever they are, they're banned from everything. Again, big tech is part of the whole plot to unseat Donald J. Trump. But the list is on. There's a whole bunch of things. He said he didn't want to defund the police. He's on videotape saying he wants to defund the police. I can't imagine how frustrating it must be to be a Trump like our guy Tim Murtaugh. I don't know if you can get this color name, but Tim Murtaugh, he's part of the Trump campaign. We had him on the podcast. Very, very nice guy, cool guy. He goes on with Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper cuts him off and literally hangs up on him because he starts listing all the racist things that Biden has done. And you and I know it, but they don't want the world to know it. He starts talking about him being a close friend of Robert Byrd, eulogizing the grand cyclops of the KKK, talking about black kids as super predators in the streets. Hell, you know who called him a racist? What, a few months ago? Ooh. Kamala Harris called Trump a racist.
True. I forgot about that back when Joe was racist last year.
You're supposed to forget about that. We're not supposed to go there. But did you see?
I haven't heard this yet. You want me to toss this in?
Go ahead, play. This is Jake Tapper with our guy Tim Murtaugh, and just keep in mind how effective Murtaugh was. Jake Tapper hangs up on him on live TV.
Biden, meanwhile, palled around with racist, segregationist senators to prevent the integration of schools. His own running mate took him to task for that during a Democrat debate.
If we're going to start talking, I did, obvious. Of course. And if we're going to start talking about,
if we're going to talk about,
that's fine. If you want to talk about what records. Joe Biden was doing in the 1970s when he worked with segregationist senators,
let's
absolutely.
Talk about how just in this election,
have at it.
He said that he believes that all black people think the same, and he said if you're not voting for him and you're black, then you ain't black.
I'm not Chris Wallace. Thank you, Tim.
Fact.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. President Trump refused.
So this Biden stooge, Jake Tapper, this Democrat operative with a press pass.
Do you hear about his friend's daughter in Kansas City
who ran to the bedroom crying, a sixth grader crying because Trump was rude.
We didn't play that yesterday. We got to play that.
Yeah, get that. But consider what he just did. He hung up on a Trump campaign campaign worker, leader, Tim Murtaugh, he's head of communications. Murtaugh was not swearing, was not yelling, was stating Biden's record, and was talking about him a few months ago, saying that all black people think the same, which he did, and saying, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. So he's talking about something in the campaign that happened recently. And he said, I'm not Chris Wallace. What do you mean you're not Chris Wallace? Yeah, you're worse. You're both rooting. And he hangs up on him on live TV because the guy had the gall to mention Biden's record. That is, I'm telling you, that is frightening. It is frightening.
Here's the problem with the Republicans, Jerry, though. I mean, talk about a party of like appeasing cowards. Like, why do they always try to out-left the left and show that we're one of the good ones? They never do this, by the way. They never do this. We got people like Tim Scott saying, I think he misspoke. I mean, this should be a unanimous thing from all right wingers. I mean, I even listened to my old friend Steve Robinson yesterday with your old friend, and they were on there saying, like, why couldn't he just say it? It's like, my question is, why are you falling for this? Why are you falling for this? Like, this is exactly what they want. Why couldn't he just disavow? Why couldn't he be this more this? It's like, he did. He said, sure, that's sufficient. End of story. Stop doing what they want you to do. The question, what you should take out of this is not that Trump didn't disavow white supremacy, which is meaningless. It's that it was asked in the first place.
Right,
that should be the Republican.
And again, it's part of a larger orchestrated campaign. Yesterday on his little train tour, he went from one state to another. It took like 10 minutes on a train. And there's nothing that screams, that that galvanizes the young voters like a train
Yeah,
tour.
yeah, that was cool when Harry Truman did it in 1948. Yeah,
Was Babe Ruth with him?
I mean, that was the first time Joe Biden voted, right? It was for Harry Truman.
Yeah. But so yesterday, Biden is excoriating Trump for not disavowing white supremacy. Again, part of a plan. That's what people, like you said, the right wingers, Republicans who fall for this, what they don't understand. It's part of a plan. We know Trump is inarticulate. We know he could have done a better job answering the question. In my opinion, he could have said, "Go F yourself" to Chris Wallace. And you too, Biden. You know, you guys have coordinated this. You know you're hoping I'll step on my tongue. He did. He does that a lot. He said, "Stand down, stand by," instead of, I disavow. But he's disavowed him dozens of times, dozens, and it's all there. So if you are, if you go to the right websites, if you follow the right people on Twitter, you could see his disavowing over and over and over again. It's all on record. Biden knows it. Chris Wallace knows it. Steve Robinson knows it. But they fall into that little trap of saying he could have done a better job. Yes, but let's look at the bigger picture. Why are they asking? They're asking to link him with white supremacists and to take the heat off Biden, who will not disavow Antifa, the real terrorist threat.
It legitimizes the insinuation that Trump needs to be asked that question.
Yes,
and that's the problem. And that's exactly what he should say. But he's not smart enough or articulate enough to say that. That.
But they know he's not. So if it's a real smart, articulate guy, if it's Tucker Carlson, he will knock it out of the park. But they know Trump is Trump, so they know he won't.
Ben Shapiro or somebody like that just debate for Trump, like somebody, you know what I mean? Somebody real sharp that just has all the facts.
You know who would do a better job? Donald Trump Jr. He's much better.
Would do a better job.
He's combative. He's a good fighter, and he's more articulate than his father. But the fact is that they were hoping what happened Tuesday would happen. Biden didn't fall asleep and didn't wander off stage, and Trump was Trump. And now they have this effort. Well, there was two things that were possible. A, they would cancel the next debate or even the next two. That's not going to happen. B, they would give this former Biden intern, Steve Scully, they would give him a buzzer or a dump button. So anytime Trump interrupts and says, "You just, will you pack the Supreme Court?" Now they have complete control. Now they don't, it's a town hall. We know how they've stacked those. We saw that one that Stephanopoulos did a couple of weeks ago. They stack those easily. They bring in, Biden supporters who lie and say they're undecided. And then they say, "Why didn't you disavow the Proud Boys?" It's a guarantee, Aiden, guarantee in the next debate that the Proud Boys or, the KKK, which Trump just declared a terrorist organization, the KKK, I think that's a good example of what you just said. Right wingers giving in, falling into this trap. Why is Trump declaring KKK? Why doesn't he just say the KKK? They don't matter anymore. They used to be, the violent wing of the Democrat Party. Now they're irrelevant. They're irrelevant.
Would you like me to disavow minstrel shows and other things that were popular 150 years ago?
Disavow Al Jolson right now.
Disavow Al Jolson in blackface. That was awful. What's your stance on Al Jolson?
You know that cook on the Three Stooges, the black guy that was.
Yeah.
You must disavow him.
Yes, right now. And All in the Family. Disavow that. Disavow everything.
Disavow Archie Bunker.
Disavow.
Disavow Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, like things that literally they're not prevalent. Like my mother texted me yesterday. She's like, "Who are the Proud Boys?" I'm like trying to explain it because this is in the news now. Like this has become mainstream. Nobody know who the hell the Proud Boys were 20 minutes ago. There was like a free commercial for them. They're just a bunch of goons who show up and they're weird too. I mean, there's something weird about showing up to these Antifa things and like your military gear and like looking for a fight. A little bit weird, don't?
Well, wouldn't you say that this is the problem with Kyle Rittenhouse is if the mayors, and Ann Coulter has a great column on this. It was posted last night. I highly recommend it.
She's coming around.
But no, she likes the Proud Boys because they protect her. When she does speeches, like goes on a college campus, they serve as bodyguards for her because obviously, the problem is Democrat mayors, and we see it in Portland every night. Democrat mayors tell the police to stand down, literally, not stand by or stand up or stand off, stand down, which allows the violent Antifa and Black Lives Matter rioters to have their way. That's what happens in Portland. That's what's happened in Seattle and Kenosha. And so at some point, someone like Kyle Rittenhouse says, I'm going to go defend these small businesses, some black, white, Hispanic, whatever. I'm going to defend the guy who owns the tire store. So he was there to do that. And then they tried to kill him, and he shot first, and he's going to walk scot-free at some point. He's still in jail, by the way. He's still in jail, even though it's on videotape that he was shooting in self-defense.
Where's the Minnesota bail fund?
That's a good question. And his attorney announced that he's suing Biden now, which is great. He should. Biden called him a white supremacist with no basis and no evidence. He's not a public figure. The bar is lower. I wish he would include Ayanna Pressley in that suit. She called him a white supremacist terrorist, a 17-year-old who was on the ground and getting bashed over the head with a skateboard by one guy, and another guy who pulled a gun on him, and he shot first. And can't be a clearer case of self-defense, but we'll see. In the way this country's going right now, he'll probably get 50 years.
I have an idea, Jerry, about how Trump can rebound and maybe woo some people and pull a move that nobody else saw coming. What if today he tweets out his condolences to Chrissy Teigen?
Oh, gee.
Imagine that.
Yeah, well,
imagine that.
I don't think.
Because that's all I see on social media right now is Chrissy Teigen.
Well, your guy, Mark Dice, who's on Twitter, is a good follow, points out what a creep Chrissy Teigen and John Legend are, because if you missed it, they lost their baby. She was pregnant. She had a miscarriage, and they put on a little performance for the cameras and posted on Instagram pictures of her inconsolable crying. How insane is that your reaction to a miscarriage, losing the baby that you already named, and the surprise was they named it something normal, Jack. Didn't you think they would name the baby like Sunshine or Flower or something? Anyway, they lose the baby, and immediately her first thought is, let's put it on Instagram. That is a little creepy.
Yeah, let's put it like John Legend. Take a picture of me and make sure you use the black and white tint this
That's
time.
true. They use the black and white.
Like, let's make sure you got me like down. Like it's so. This is everything that's wrong with social media. Like, this is a perfect example of it.
Well, that's to your point. Like, that's consistent with how she lives her life, right? Any type of news, she's going out there and she's publishing it on Instagram. So
aren't some things private? Isn't a miscarriage private?
She has the right to do that. So what's the big deal?
I didn't say she didn't have the right. I just said it's creepy. Can you post it up there? Can you put it up there for our Facebook audience?
It's very creepy.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. But you're right. That's how she lives her life, and that's how some people live their lives. But Dice is just pointing out how he calls her a demonic creature. I don't know if she's a demon, but she's certainly a weirdo and a creepy person. And so is he. By the way, they threatened to move out of the country if Trump wins again, if he wins re-election.
Which is strange, because they just bought an $18 million house in LA.
Has any celebrity actually ever moved out of the country after a Republican wins?
We could only be so lucky.
Is that ever? There she is posting from her hospital bed, half naked, crying. That is. You don't think that's bizarre that she thought, I'll put that on Instagram?
That's supposed to be a private. Something like that happens. It's awful. Like, a lot of people have been through that before. And you just don't. It's okay if you want to talk about it. Like, it's perfectly normal. But when you're somebody with like millions and millions of followers like that, and you're Chrissy Teigen, you're putting out there. You're doing it because nothing matters more to you than attention and likes, and probably going through all the replies and seeing who has replied to me and said, I love you. I'm here for you. Like, that's all it's so vain. It's just so disgusting.
Well, is there anything more?
Don't you think of the millions of followers that there's plenty of people that have gone through exactly what she went through, and she was trying to just show that and show her support?
Oh, you stop it, Dave. With you. Get him
you
out
are
of
such
here.
honest to God. Have you ever met anyone more contrarian than Cullinane?
What? It's not. This is how she lives her life. She puts everything out there. She tweets nonstop. She Instagrams every photo, and she's just trying to say, "Hey, this is what I'm going through. If you're going through something like this, there's a light at the end of the tunnel."
I can't wait for the
okay. This is positivity.
I can't wait for the inevitable divorce, because these things never work out with celebrities. So is she going to do that too?
What is her claim to fame? Like,
She's a model. She was like for a while. I mean, she was probably number 2 under Giselle for a decent amount of time.
Really? Because I don't see it. I mean, I hate to pick on someone in this, kick them when they're down, but I don't see it. Does she look like a supermodel to you?
When she first came out, she was an absolute missile. When she first, and she was a product of social media. She was one of the first people to be very active.
Unlike me, she's just not aging well, I guess. But talk about narcissism. What's more narcissistic than thinking, if I don't get my way in this election, I'm going to move to wherever, to Mexico or to Canada or to Europe? Who would care? I mean, first of all, isn't John Legend a singer?
Yes.
Okay, so what does it matter where he lives? Isn't she an Instagram model or whatever? What does it matter whether they live in LA or London?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
They do the same thing.
That benefit people like them.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
It doesn't matter at all. They're still the same people doing the same thing. So what's the threat?
There is none.
That they'll take their tax, the tax revenue away from California. Good. By the way, after on a debate night, a bunch of people, Google said, like millions of people searched on how to leave the country and how to get it. And there's a big line. There's a picture of this line in New York for passports. It's like 1,000 people in line to get a passport. Massachusetts was the number 1 state in the country that Googled how to apply for Canadian citizenship. But again, you're going to, first of all, Massachusetts is controlled by, hard left liberals, Charlie Baker, Marty Walsh, Ayanna Pressley. I mean, the whole Ed Markey. I mean, you have the craziest moonbats in the country representing you. Why would someone from Massachusetts want to move to Canada?
Good question. I mean,
what's Trump going to do to you that he hasn't already done? First of all, that's going to make you want to leave the state and leave the country. Are these just stupid people?
It's a good point. I mean, we pretty much already do live in a socialist paradise in Massachusetts. It's not the rest of the country. I mean, does it get any more left? I mean, can you pick a country in Western Europe that's more leftist than Massachusetts?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe they're similar, but what do you not have? I mean, you can get an abortion anytime you want. You have mass health. You have high taxes. I mean, you have. It's like a socialist dream, isn't it? I mean, you have crazy people like Ayanna Pressley speaking for you, representing you. So why would you want to move to Canada?
Yeah, you got lockdowns. You got
lockdowns. Right. You got 5,000 restaurants out of business. You have shopping areas that are like ghost towns. You've got a governor that fines you for dancing at weddings or standing too close to someone else.
Safe injection zones.
Did you see they shut down a restaurant in Boston last week or over the weekend? No, last week probably, because the people in line outside for takeout were standing too close to each other.
Yes.
So somebody in the city, a city government, I think it was it had to be the city, is going around like measuring how close you stand to the person in front of you in line. That is frightening. I mean, and people want to continue that, and if we don't continue that, they want to leave.
I mean, go for it. You see, not to get off topic, Jerry, just Somerville the other day shut down their biggest. That's kind of near you, so like Davis Square, you know where that is in Somerville.
Yes.
So they shut it down to write Black Lives Matter. The other day, what was it? Friday, I think they did this, and some people have sent me in pictures, Jerry. They used the wrong paint. And the whole thing's wearing off now.
Good.
It was like and you know who's benefiting from this? Ironically, the cops, because they're getting all the overtime to shut down Davis Square, and they're the only ones profiting off of this.
I pulled into I think I was turning around in Somerville town City Hall like 3 years ago, I think, or 4 years ago, and they had a Black Lives Matter banner, and I looked up and said, "What the hell is that?" They're way ahead of the curve. They were flying
writing about them. I stopped writing about Somerville because, like, let me guess, something fucking crazy happened in Somerville again. Like Joe Curtatone went and took the next step in crazy land. Yep, shocking.
Yeah, they have a mayor, if I'm familiar with Somerville, Curtatone, whose goal is it to out crazy every other municipality. So if somebody does something, bans something, whatever, plastic straws, you name it, bans this, he will say, "I'll do that and do you one better." That's his goal. His goal is to be the last city in the country to open up, open up restaurants, gyms, whatever. He wants to remain locked down. There's no science behind it. He just wants to be the biggest, the most fanatical tyrant in the country, and he usually succeeds. He's usually, he wants to like give every illegal alien, not just like drivers, like give him cars. He just wants to take everything to the most absurd level, and he generally succeeds. But I don't think I'm going to be able to handle. See, you're better at this, Turtle Boy. You just got banned, suspended from Twitter, and you just take it in stride. Just say, yeah, they got me again. I know. I think of these things that they're doing to us, and I worry. I guess I worry more than you what they're going to do, not to us, but to our children and grandchildren.
What can you do though? You got to be optimistic. You just got to keep fighting, Jerry. Like I had a Facebook page at 112,000 followers. When I lost that 3 years ago, I'm like, we're done. Like this is like most of my views came from sharing on Facebook and stuff like that. Like they're gonna kill me. But if you people will find you. If you create content that people want, they're going to come to you, Jerry.
But you would admit that it's kind of scary. The cancel culture, the control. It is a little scary. And again, we mentioned how the Proud Boys can't have be on Twitter. It can't be, hell, there's a woman, as you well know, running for Congress in Florida, who is not allowed an email account because big tech shut her down so much. Laura Loomer,
she might win.
She might be in Congress. Consider this. She might be in Congress and she will not have an email account because big tech, she can't be on Twitter. She's banned, correct, from Facebook, Twitter, PayPal, everything. But she can't even email. She could be in Congress. That is going to be fascinating.
Eventually, somebody has to sue. I guess you can't. I'd say somebody should sue them, but obviously, since it's not happening, so legal minds will tell you that it's impossible. They have immunity. They can get by anything. My solution is, talk about leftists. I think personally, Twitter and Facebook should be nationalized, Jerry. Nationalized.
Well, they almost are. You think if President Biden controls, if Biden wins, what's the difference? This
is the one kind of company they want privatized because that way they can systemically ban conservatives, right? If it was and people are worried, well, then the government's going to censor you. No. Then if the government owns it, then it has to be based on the First Amendment. They can't violate your civil rights by kicking you out.
Sure they can. I think it'd be no different. But
no, you can't. Well, then you can go to your local courthouse and you can file for an injunction. You can get back on while they're litigating it. It could happen. That's the only way. And I just think that you can't have multiple social media. Like you can't have 10 different social media companies competing. You need a place where everybody's at. And right now that's Twitter and Facebook. It's the places where everybody's at. You can't dilute it with a bunch of companies. So you have to have one. Monopolies are necessary for social media. And why should it be privately owned? Why should we give a private company all that power? Just give it to the government. And say everybody's on. You could say whatever the hell you want. If you don't like it, don't come on.
It is frightening. Every day I get on Twitter and I have fewer followers and they just take followers away. And
every day
I see a bunch of conservatives that they all say the same thing. You see them on Twitter saying, well, I lost, 500 followers today. The liberals don't have to worry about that. They just get followers and they don't
at the same time. Think about, I was one of your followers. You've lost one. You probably have a lot of people like that who you're just losing because they're getting kicked off.
Right. It is a scary time, but back to the election and the big plot, my big conspiracy, and why they're deflecting, why they want you talking about Proud Boys and election integrity. The question again, and you pointed it out, you were right. The question was about stacking the court, and Biden and Kamala Harris will not answer it. The media doesn't care. Nobody cares that they will not answer it because we know the answer. The answer is yes. They want to add Supreme Court justices. They will be hard left liberals. They'll be, 40 years old. They'll be on the court for 40 years. And on top of that, they want statehood in Puerto Rico, statehood in D.C. That's 4 more Democrat senators. They want control.
I got a solution for that, Jerry.
For decades.
I got a solution.
But here's, to me, the
East Montana, Jerry. East Montana. If they start pulling that shit, that's when we go with, North Wyoming. We can do it
What
too.
do you mean we? They're going to control. If they win, if they take
do it now. Preempt it.
If they take control of the Senate and the White House, they could do these things. They're going to get rid of the filibuster for everything. They're going to stack the court. We know that. They
You
won't
know what
answer.
Trump should do if he wins re-election? Stack the court.
Right.
Like,
I don't understand why that's a one-way thing. I don't
right.
understand.
Like, why aren't we talking about it?
And
why aren't we like threatening to stack the court?
the court? He should add 2, 30-year-old hard right Republicans. Put Ben Shapiro on the Supreme Court. Yeah. He'll be on there for 40 years. But you say this all the time. You are right. They fight dirty. We don't. They fight dirty, and we have people like Tim Scott saying, "Boy, I wish he would denounce the Proud Boys instead of like saying, who the hell are the Proud Boys? Who cares?" It's just we don't fight dirty like they do. Schumer and Pelosi, they are dirty fighters.
We don't have the morning email. They have the morning email with all the talking points. We don't get that.
They have the morning email that goes to all the members of Congress, the Senate, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, Washington Post. They all get the same email. They all say the same things. That's why when people got afraid of defunding the police, the next day they all said, we want to reimagine policing. They make up a word, reimagine policing, because they are told to do that by their leaders. But the average person, if they knew, the average voter knew that Biden's goal, Kamala Harris's goal, is to stack the court, add 2 justices, to add 4 senators, to take complete control of every branch. By the way, the Supreme Court wouldn't be what we think it is now. It would be a political arm, of the executive branch. It would be, they would be a reliable liberal majority, and things would never be the same. At least not in my lifetime. Probably not yours. They would never be the same. No one knows. I mean, Biden knows it. Obviously, Chris Wallace knows it. All the Biden supporters know it. But the average person in Wisconsin or Minnesota, do they know that? Do they know what Biden has planned? What Biden's just
because Chris Wallace wouldn't ask the question and wouldn't force him to answer it. That would have been super helpful. No,
that's the greatest question in this campaign, in this debate, in these debates would be, and Trump asked it. And what happened when Trump asked it? Biden said, "Shut up." And Chris Wallace said, "Stop, Mr. President, stop interrupting." Again, we played it already. If you haven't seen it, look at it again. It's amazing. He asked about stacking the court, about changing the Supreme Court. And Biden's plan, which was the plan all along, was to look in the camera and tell people to go out and vote. They will not answer this very important question. And obviously the media won't make them because they're on board.
Game for them, Jerry. They're just trying to win the game. It's like, just vote. Like, that is literally their whole platform is vote early, register, get the mail in, vote. Doesn't matter. Don't ask what we stand for. Just vote.
That's always so stupid. The NBA now says all their guys are signed up to vote. Football, the NFL saying they're going to use the stadiums as voting places. It's not get out and vote. The get out and vote is always get out and vote for our guy. That's the whole thing. It's not vote. It's vote for our guy. My plea on election day is always don't vote. If you don't care enough to go to the polling place, to wait in a little line, to do the research on the referendum questions, stay home. Yeah. Don't nullify my vote if you don't know what you're doing and you don't really want to do this. You know what? I think we have too many people voting. We should have fewer people voting.
I'm fully on board with the too many people voting thing. I don't want to go full literacy test. It's got too many Jim Crow links. Like, you don't want to go there. But
no. But say you had to write in the candidate's name and spell it right. Would you be okay with that?
I could do that. Maybe.
Yeah.
I could
okay. So you have to be able to spell Joe Biden to vote for Biden.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Yeah,
I could do that. Or just make them wait and people talk about lines. Like, first of all, if you have lines at your polling place, that means it's run by idiots. It's not Trump's fault. Right. Secondly, it should be, take it a little seriously. Like, who cares? It's a civic duty. If you wait in line for 20 minutes, that's okay. Who cares?
We thought this would happen 10 minutes after the 2 officers, the 2 sheriff's deputies in LA got shot in the face. We thought they would catch that shooter. Like 10 minutes later, they didn't. They finally caught him yesterday. They
already had him.
Because he was already in custody for another violent crime. But they got him now, and we haven't seen him yet. I want to know if he looks as squatty in his mugshot as he did in that video. He looks as round. But this guy, this is going to be interesting. And maybe we'll hear nothing from him. Maybe we'll just see a mugshot and that'll be it. But what if he is, committed, Black Lives Matter activist, kind of like the guy in Dallas? 5 years ago, 4 years, how long ago was that? 5 years ago, who shot
4.5 years ago.
Who shot the 5 cops in Dallas, who was a committed Black Lives Matter activist. Wasn't a big deal, nothing to see here. We'll get back to the Proud Boys. But is this going to be big, or is this just going to be another, guy was the lone gunman. The guy was.
Of course, that's the way. He doesn't represent Black Lives Matter, Jerry. The only people that represent Black Lives Matter are the peaceful ones, the woke ones, the nice ones. The second they do something ratchet or, riot or loot, they're magically no longer in the club. Don't you get that? They've been revoked.
Right. It is. I'm be curious obviously he's going to have to appear in court. He's going to have to give a plea. I'll be curious to see how much we learn about him, because you're not going to see him more evil. All he does is come up and shoot them in the face and run away. He doesn't get anything out of it. He doesn't get any money. He's not resisting arrest. He just shoots them in the face and runs away. I assume that he'll have a lawyer talking to somebody, telling somebody why he did it. They're just going to say he just doesn't like cops. Is that the whole motive? They asked the police spokesman yesterday, why did he do it? And he said, I don't know. He just hates cops. We think he just hates cops.
Is he? What's his name? Should we look? Is he on Facebook?
That's right. That's your.
I bet she's got some posts if he is.
His name is Deontay. I'll get it. Deontay something. It's. I'll get the name.
Okay.
I also want your guy, your BU guy, the critical race theory. Was that his name?
Dr. Kemba, Kemby. No, whatever the hell his name is. Kendi. Yeah.
There's another story about Kendi, and I know they set you off, these stories. He went down to, I'll get the story. He went down to Virginia for one day and got $45,000 to teach kids how racist all white people are. Kendi.
Did you know he spoke in Newton?
I did not.
I wonder how much the taxpayers paid for that. Maybe I'll have to find out.
You have blogged about him in the past, correct?
Yes, I have recently.
It's the greatest grift going. It's the greatest scam going. He gets he did a Zoom call, like a one-day conference a couple of weeks ago from sitting in Boston, and got 20 grand.
Not a bad life for an oppressed guy.
He gets like Barack Obama money for making a speech. I'm gonna get the latest.
You know what would kill his business, Jerry? Just kill his business. A lack of racism. Like if racism stopped tomorrow, what would people like that do for a living?
It's a good question. He's no different in that regard than Al Sharpton or
no. It's I tokened this like 5 years ago. Racism, industrial complex. It is the same thing. It is big business. It employs millions and millions of people. The second it goes away, our economy collapses. Racism is necessary for our freaking economy, sadly, because it employs so many leftists.
If it racist, this guy would have to be, get a real job, right? That's why they have to take it to another level and say, you need us to come into your school or come into your business and tell you how all you white people are racist and you must apologize to all the people of color. And, they did it to the military. This guy, I don't know how much BU pays him, but he is a multi-million. And I know he wrote that book that executives at companies are forced to read. But you're right. He can never, not only can he not say there's no racism, Aiden, he can never even say the situation's getting better. He can never say things have improved. You really don't need me to lecture you today. It's quite a scam. I guess I should respect it,
Yeah, at the same time, it also gives us something to talk about. We're in on the racism industrial complex too, no?
I guess, you Google him and you see 20,000 here, 45,000 there. This guy just makes a fortune. I bet he drives like a big, nice car and has a big, expensive place and like on top of the Ritz or something. That would be an interesting thing to look at how much he is pulling in. But
really good timing for a new book. He looks like he's got a new book out next week.
Oh, does he?
Timing for
How
it,
about
yeah.
that?
Yeah, good timing.
What's it called? Let me guess. He decides to write a novel about the Wild West or something. Gone off topic a little bit.
It is called Be Anti-Racist. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
How original.
A journal for awareness, reflection, and action. Be anti.
Well, I can't wait. That sounds like a page turner. But and he's right here in Boston. Anyway, you predicted the over last time the debate 2016 Trump versus Hillary was 84 million. You convinced me that it was going to bring in a number that big, and you were wrong and I was wrong. The total number of viewers Tuesday night, 73 million. Still an unbelievable number. Okay. But here's the most interesting factoid is the number went up as all the people said they turned it off or ran in the bedroom crying. They couldn't take it anymore. And it was torture watching this. We're all full of crap, by the way. It was very entertaining. The number went up or at least remained steady from the beginning to the end. I think the number at the end was higher than the number at the beginning. So people did not turn it off. They lied. They stuck with it. But 73 million, I think, is the second. Was that number 2 all time? Number 1 by far was Trump Hillary, and there's a reason for that. People hated Hillary, and they don't really hate Biden. They should, but they don't. So 73 million. And after the debate, Biden's team cranked out an ad immediately with all the Charlottesville stuff and started selling a T-shirt that said on it, "Will you shut up, man?" That he said it to the president, and he was so embarrassed by the tone of the debate that he made a T-shirt and immediately started selling it, saying, "Shut up to the president."
Listen here, fat.
It's one big game to these people, and not everybody. Lots of people.
Speaking of games, I got to go. The teachers union's playing games with me, so I got to go do remote learning.
You go do a little remote learning and
Ready?
We just lost Jerry, so goodbye.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Goodbye. Did you see my kid?
No, did your kid pop in?
Yeah, I got to go do remote learning.
Oh, okay. I don't know. All right. Talk to you.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Turtle Boy's out of here, and we are waiting for Jerry. Not a big deal. That's why we do live, so don't worry about it. So he'll pop back in. So we'll see when he gets back in. All right. Thank you. We'll see. I got nothing to say. I think he wants to talk about, if you want to hang around with us, you can. I think he wants to talk about the NFL masks. There he is. Here we go.
Turtle,
there he is. There he is.
The whole thing. I don't know what he did there, but maybe his kid did. Anyway, that was Turtle Boy. You could check him out at tbdailynews.com. You could follow him on Twitter, but right now he's suspended. I don't even know why.
That was my time to shine. I was gearing up to do a monologue for a good 10 minutes right there. That was my time.
Would you talk about wrestling? Did you talk about wrestling? Did you talk about Barstool?
I was gearing up to talk about mask wearing in the NFL and all the draft picks that are going to be eliminated because people are wearing their masks wrong in the this weekend in the NFL.
I know. They're going to come down. Don't they have to find Belichick at some point? His mask is always on.
Why does he purposely have to do things to just look like an asshole? I don't understand.
Is it at heart he's a rebel and he does not like being told what to do? That's why when he goes to the Super Bowl, he breaks all the rules, and when he does that, sits down at a table, and to talk to the media, he never does it the way he's supposed to do it. And that's why he wears the old ratty sweatshirts. He does not want to conform. He's just not his style.
You can't just wear one of those hospital masks. You have to wear the peak, whatever that bird looking thing is on his face. I truly don't understand.
Plus he knows it's all bull. It's crap. It doesn't really matter. He's outside. He tested negative. Everyone around him tested negative. The NFL has its first test. As we know, a bunch of Tennessee Titans tested positive, and they're postponing the game. And you know what most fans are thinking? Excellent. We're going to have another Monday night game, or maybe even a Tuesday. Monday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon game. And people are like, oh, cool. We get an extra game, another game to watch.
But then I didn't see any commentary on this. Do they end up switching the Sunday night game? No, because then the two teams, somebody's screwed up. Yeah,
it's just one team that, they'll whatever, isolate the guys. Most of them are asymptomatic. It might spread through the team, but they'll do what the colleges have done. Remember when it was a huge deal? Remember when the Miami Marlins Everyone, they can't start the season. The Miami Marlins, 3 guys have the virus.
Yeah.
Aren't they in the playoffs now?
Yes. Yeah. I thought they were going to shut down the entire thing. Right.
Well,
in
they
that
didn't,
moment. Yeah.
and it's a good thing they didn't. It would have made no sense. But it's just going to be an extra game. We'll see how they handle it. We'll see if it spreads to other teams. But it is not. They finally have an issue. They finally have a challenge. We'll see how they handle it. I think they're going to come out fine. And just like colleges, just like baseball teams have dealt with it, they've been fine. These guys aren't going to die. Everyone knows that, unless some overweight old coach gets it, like Andy Reid. There's no reason to worry about anyone in the NFL. But
yeah, we'll have to. We'll keep an eye on some of those Newton Needham people who had a problem with BC football last weekend. See if they have a problem this weekend. Shouldn't that a person just sent a tweet for every NFL team that won over the weekend? Like the videos of the Patriots with Matthew Slater and his little pump up speeches after the game. None of them are wearing masks.
It is amazing. The woman who's a city councilwoman in Newton was very upset that the BC, not that they played, that they celebrated in the locker room. They jumped around and hugged each other. Every one of those kids tested negative. They're college kids. Even if they get the virus, lady, it's not going to be a big deal. They'll be fine. They will isolate. They will not go home and see their grandparents. It is amazing that people in public office, public officials, still don't understand the problem. They still think that college kids, 19, 20-year-old healthy college kids in great shape, are somehow going to die if they don't mask up and socially distance. They're playing football. They're testing negative. Good for them. Everyone should be playing football, but we don't have to do this again. It's just amazing how stupid people like this foolish woman are. And I guess next week, if they win, they're supposed to not shake hands and hug each other, even though they're all tested negative.
I mean,
she'll be happy.
What's really the difference between them all jumping up and down in the locker room like that, or them just sitting down next to each other in lockers? Like, what's the difference in that scenario?
There's no difference. What's the difference in them playing, standing on the sideline, in the locker room, in the shower? They're all not socially distancing. They're not wearing masks. They're not positive. They don't have the virus. They get tested constantly. Oh, it's just maddening. Don't get me going on this. Anyway. Thanks to Turtle Boy. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving and DCU. And thanks to all our Facebook live viewers. Yesterday, we had 50,000 views. I don't know if we're going to reach that number today. It was a big post-debate bump. But what are we going to do about this? We're going to start,
I guess we have to start focusing on Facebook to some degree. You think I got to put a little effort into it, I guess, or just in general, I should put some effort into the show.
Tell them to go to Shea Concrete. Telling them to, buy Raycons and all that.
Yeah, I should probably. Yeah, we'll get on this. We'll get on. I had to manually invite all the new people to like our page. I had to click invite to 1,000 people on my phone yesterday to like our page on Facebook. So,
how hard is it to get banned? I mean, if we say things like, obviously, if you say that, if you say the virus isn't a big deal or the kids don't get the virus, am I going to get banned because I'm not following? I'm not saying what the World Health Organization wants. That's what they do. Is that what Facebook does?
Turtle Boy's the expert on that one. So we should have asked Turtle Boy. Turtle Boy, who, by the way, made 3 appearances out of the 4 shows this week. So big week for Turtle Boy. Big week.
I know. And he needs it, man. He's kicked off Twitter.
Yep.
And you're right. He is the expert. And he just takes it in stride. I give him credit. He just takes it in stride. He says, yeah, I'll be back. They booted me off Twitter for a while. He's suspended, it says, right? Not banned for life.
Yep. And on to the next one. On to the next one.
By
the way, the Rock just tweeted out the XFL is coming back. Hold on. 2022. Never mind. I thought he was making a push for next year.
I hate The Rock now. I hate him. He's, said he's a moderate and a centrist, and he's endorsing Kamala Harris, the most liberal senator, and endorsing Joe Biden, who's just a front man for Bernie Sanders and AOC. Screw The Rock. I'm never going to watch one of his movies again. I don't know if I've ever watched one.
Oh, you've watched. Come on.
I don't remember a memorable Rock movie. The one he did with Mark Wahlberg, I think I watched.
Was that the one, The Other Guys? He was in that for 5 minutes?
No, it's with they're on steroids. They're all jacked up. You're supposed to know this.
Yeah, I don't know that movie. I forget that movie. I know the one that he was in where he was a cop with Mark Wahlberg, and he was in it for like 5 seconds with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, well, that's Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah, him and Will Ferrell. Yes, that's right. The other guys or something.
Yeah, that sucked too. That sucked too.
All
right. Anyway, thanks, Cullinane, and thanks to everybody for listening and watching on Facebook Live. I appreciate it. This is the Callahan Podcast. I'm Jerry Callahan, and we will talk to you again real soon.